Well, hey fans, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Spoilers. And today we're talking spoilers for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So, like you all heard before, Daniel said he would come back and do the Let's Talk Spoilers with me for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. He went to the screening with me and he's back here today. Say hello to the fans, Daniel.
Hey, how you doing, fans? Glad to be back.
Yeah, and like I said, we're doing Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania. It was an enjoyable film for me, and we're basically going to get right into it. Daniel, tell the people your thoughts on the film, and then give it a score.
Overall, I thought it was good. It was a good film. I can't say I'm not going to sit here and say the film was bad because it was not bad. It was definitely meant to be more of a for the family. That's the real vibe I got from it. That they were trying to just kind of, I think it's really more accessible to probably a younger audience, honestly, just based on some of the things that were happening in the film. But yeah, overall, I did find it very enjoyable though.
And what score would you give it?
Oh, score. I would have to give it probably a 7.5 to 8.
7.5 to 8.
Yeah.
I would agree. I enjoyed the film as well. Thought it was more family oriented than the previous two. It was a lot more fantastical, of course, since you're in the quantum realm. I thought it was just as funny as the previous two, although I think there are some elements missing, and we'll get into that later. I enjoyed finally seeing the quantum realm and what it does, even though I feel like there are a few issues with that. In my review, I gave it an 8 out of 10. So that's not bad. It's like a solid, pretty much most MCU movies for me, they fall between a 7 or an 8. If
They are
it's
consistent.
if it's lower than like a 7, something's wrong. And if it's higher than an 8, it's like a chef's kiss. They've done that a few times. That most of them are just pretty much cookie cutter, but I enjoy the story. So moving on to the next topic, ranking the Ant-Man movies. Where would you put from first to last the 3 Ant-Man movies?
So we kind of discussed this a little off camera a little bit. I'm giving you some of my thoughts, and I've given it some more thought in preparation for this. So I would still keep Ant-Man 1 as the top.
Uh-huh.
I think all around between like the small roles, like I will go on record saying this is T.I.'s best role to me personally. I think he is excellent in this movie. Him, Michael Pena. I can't remember the third actor part of their
David Dastmalchian.
Okay, yeah. Those like they make great co-stars to his crime spree, I guess. And so I'll keep Ant-Man 1 as the first Ant-Man as the top. At one point in time, I had Ant-Man 3 as second, but because of a few things that are missing out of it, I think we discussed a little bit, the other members of the family that are missing, the fact that Michael Pena, a few of them aren't. And for me personally, I thought they were leaving the comedic at some point in times and moving into the silly. And so that kind of dropped it down for me. And I went and watched Ant-Man 1 and Ant-Man 2 in preparation for this. And when I first watched Ant-Man 2, I always thought it was just like them trying to introduce more characters and just kind of continue the Marvel story. But after watching it again, I realized that it was actually quite a good movie. Like it actually grew on me. I enjoyed it more the second time I watched it. So I would honestly either have to put Ant-Man 2 and Ant-Man 3 together on the second round, or have Ant-Man 2 slightly above Ant-Man 3.
Okay. So yours is Ant-Man 1, Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man 3. Pretty much in the order they came out.
Yeah, just by like a chest push, on the track line.
Yeah. So for me, I think the first Ant-Man film is still by far my favorite. It was a nice in between, I think what was that, phase 2 and 3. It was a nice solo story. It was just like this guy who's, trying to do right by his daughter, and he just keeps messing up. And they introduced Hank Pym, who in the comics, Hank Pym is the main Ant-Man.
Right.
So when they were going with Scott Lang, everybody was like, why are you going to go with Scott Lang? There's so many more stories with Hank Pym. But I think they did a great job. They hired Paul Rudd, have Hank Pym as the older guy, and we got to see that.
Quick interrupt. I am not too familiar with Ant-Man in the comics. Is there a Scott Lang Ant-Man?
Yes, there is a Scott Lang Ant-Man in the comics. He was the second Ant-Man after Hank Pym.
Okay.
But yeah, bringing him in and bringing in like his past with S.H.I.E.L.D., that opening to the first Ant-Man movie where he clocks that dude in the face talking about his wife getting sucked in. I love that scene. The de-aging in it was fantastic.
You said it, not me.
But yeah, Ant-Man 1 is my favorite. Number 2 for me is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I liked all the different things they did, even though I think some things were missing. I think it was solid enough of me for a film to put it number 2. Now, Ant-Man and the Wasp is my number 3. I just found it introduced Ghost, which I love Ghost, and I'm glad she's coming back. That was a great villain. I like it when your villain is not just the same as you. Like Yellow Jacket, he's cool, but he's just like another version of Ant-Man.
Right.
Ghost has totally different power sets. She doesn't shrink or whatever. She can phase through stuff. So I like that aspect, but just other aspects, it was just getting too goofy for me and just a little too silly. And I'm like, I don't know. And it felt more like filler. I felt like with all the characters they introduced, I really liked it, but they didn't need to make it so fluffy. It should have been a little more about that tech. Like, was Walton Goggins' character was trying to steal that technology. That should have been like the main thing, not him trying to, oh, I'm on house arrest or whatever. And I like that at the end. I like at the end how he gets stuck in the quantum realm and like everybody else gets turned to dust. That was a great connection for, well, where was Ant-Man during Infinity War? This is where he was, and this is what was going on. So I like that. But moving forward with like just things about the film that are just a little off to me. The connections to the second film, I feel like they just kind of throw some things out the window. Janet comes out of the quantum realm in the second movie with like healing powers and stuff like that.
Right.
Is not brought up at all in this movie. When Ant-Man and the Wasp ended, Ghost, like her phasing abilities were out of whack, and Janet's like, if we get quantum healing particles, we can fix that. Right. So that's why Scott goes down there. He's trapped there for 5 years. We're like, so what's going on with Ghost? She never got those healing particles.
Right.
Janet's like vaporized. Unless if ghosts were vaporized too, then she lucked out. Then she doesn't have to suffer or whatever. Like I would have liked more follow-up to that storyline. Like I feel like at the end, they called her like our new ghost friend. Like she was a part of that family. So I feel like her, along with Michael Pena, David Dastmalchian, and T.I., they all deserved at least like a cameo. I felt it was weird that they kind of dropped the ball on just carrying some of those plot threads over.
Agreed. Kind of building off that, I get like, so like her sending out that signal into the quantum realm is what triggered M.O.D.O.K, in order to drag them in there. I'm like, but isn't even just opening gateways into the quantum realm, isn't that enough, Yeah. So he went there for 5 years. How did no one detect him? But they almost immediately detected them in Quantumania. He's like floating around. Maybe he didn't go deep enough into the quantum realm. Maybe that's it. Who knows? But
yeah, and the quantum, it's just like a weird one thing. The whole thing with M.O.D.O.K, they sent the signal down there. How did M.O.D.O.K? Oh, I can suck them in now. Like how? Right. Like how it was just like a quantum telescope. How does that suck people in?
It was literally supposed to be like maybe it was radar and not a telescope, If they said a quantum like radar, that's different. Telescope just means you view. Radar, you're sending out like, sonic waves or whatever, It could be a signal of some kind, but yeah.
But like if it's that easy to like bring somebody down, why is Kang stuck
why is it so hard
to there?
Leave? Why is it so hard to leave?
Yeah, they made it seem like, all right, so to get to the quantum realm, you have to like shrink really small or whatever. That's the only way to get there. And a side note about the shrinking, once they got to the quantum realm, they should not have been able to shrink smaller. That didn't make sense to me, because when you get to the quantum realm, that's supposed to be the smallest Ant-Man and the Wasp and all the characters can get. The fact that they can get even smaller alludes to that there is a smaller realm beneath the quantum realm. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I don't think that they should have included that in the film. They should have been able to get bigger, and that should have been their power set in the quantum realm, is that they can get larger than all the other characters, larger than Kang. But allowing them to continue to shrink, I feel, was a big mistake.
Agreed.
But if you have a multiversal traveling ship like Kang, that's another way to get there, because apparently the quantum realm is at like the bottom of the multiverse. So whatever's going on there is totally separate. But I feel like if you have ships down there that can fly, you should be able to leave. You're probably not going to get back to like where you're from, but for a person like Kang, that doesn't matter. He just wants to leave. So why didn't he's like, oh, my little engine's broken. I'm just going to dip, and whatever timeline I end up in, I'll start fresh from there.
I'll work from there.
Yeah. So I don't understand why he just stayed. That didn't make sense to me.
Also, quick question. Were his powers, were they tied to the suit or were they his own?
So yeah, his powers are completely tied to his suit. That's why once he got the suit back, even though he didn't have his engine, he was pretty much all powerful. I think in the comics, his suit is made from technology from like the 40th century or whatever.
Okay, that makes sense then.
So, and it's neurokinetic. So it allows him to have a form of like telekinesis over
Mhm.
people. He can control machinery. In the comics, he has like, you know how Deadpool in the comics has that like bag where he can pull like any weapon out or
Yeah,
whatever. He has something like that where he can just pull like weapons from any timeline out and attack people. So they
okay.
didn't really go deep into his part. It seemed like the only thing they went over was like telekinesis and like the fact that he can like shoot beams. That's
Yeah,
it. He was basically like a Iron Man type figure.
kind of.
And I think they should have went a lot more fantastical.
Maybe they were just prepping us for Doctor Doom.
Yeah, and
He looked really like, honestly, when I looked at him, I was like, I'm getting real Doctor Doom vibes right now.
well, he is related to Doctor Doom in the comics. He's a descendant of both Reed Richards and Doctor Doom,
Hmm.
both who in the comics are white. So
How are they gonna
we
work
will
that out?
see is we'll see in the MCU is Doctor Doom and Reed Richards going to be
It's some
like
brothers.
black, or is it just going to
Ha-
be like this is what happens in the future? Like eventually, all your grandkids going to be black. So it's like 1,000 years later, bam, you got
Back around. Back
Nathaniel Richards.
time goes back around.
Yeah. So yeah, and so you have any more thoughts on Kang? Like, what were your thoughts on Jonathan Major's performance?
I thought he personally is what kind of helped say, I won't say save the movie because I still thought it was good, but he made the movie for me. Like his
Mhm.
performance, I thought was really good, especially like before he becomes when they showed the scenes of him and Janet, Michelle Pfeiffer character, right?
Yeah,
Michelle
yeah.
Pfeiffer's character when they were trying to get the ship working, and
Hmm.
he's I guess hiding his past, I guess. And I
Hmm.
mean, not really, he didn't say they owe her the truth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought his performance there when he's trying to get her to like give him the orb,
Hmm.
the power source, the power cell. And I thought his performance there when he first meets Ant-Man, when he's trying to remember which he always knew which Avenger he was. He just was kind of messing with him.
Uh-huh.
Like, which one are you again? Are you the one with the hammer?
Hmm.
So many of you these days. Then later on, he tells him like, "You just shrink. Like I know who you are. I know which one you are."
Hmm.
Um, so I thought Jonathan Major's performance actually is kind of what really made me enjoy the movie.
Hmm.
And I'm actually waiting to see at the end. Obviously, we see all these different versions of Jonathan Major's
Yeah.
character, Kang. And so I'm wanting to see how much freedom is he going to be given to, change his personality for each of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it does look like he's gonna have like just tons of different wild variants. And yeah,
Mm,
I really like them too. There are people who are upset that this is our technically our second introduction to a Kang variant. The first was He Who Remains, and
right.
we've met both of them with a loss. Sylvie killed He Who Remains at the end of Loki, and in this one, he gets sucked into the quantum engine. So they're like, why would you introduce your next major villain with a loss? And for a second, I was thinking about that too.
We don't know this. We don't know the one who got sucked in the quantum engine. We don't know if he's
Yeah,
dead.
we don't know if he's dead, but I like what the writer said. He wanted to be different than Thanos. He was like, Thanos is this like overarching villain, and he talks about, I know what it feels like to lose, but he says you never see Thanos lose until like the very end. Like you
Mm-hmm.
pretty much see him get the stones and he snaps everybody away and he wins. He was like, what he wanted to do with Kang, he's like, yeah, we're gonna bring this villain into Ant-Man. Oh, he loses in Ant-Man, but guess what? There's an infinite amount of Kang. So next movie, bam, there's another Kang. You beat him, guess what? There's another Kang, and they always learn from their mistakes. So
That's what I'm saying. He just gets more difficult because they learn from them. Because I guess technically, all since he's a Nexus being, they're all technically like connected in some way.
so
Especially
you
since they are in contact with each other.
yeah,
Like
and it looks
like
like
they're
they can keep tabs on each other so they can say, this is
mhm.
how this one lost. We're not gonna lose that way. And when it just keeps going like that, I understand why he's really hard to beat.
Mm,
One of the things I do wish they did, somebody brought this up online. We should have seen when Janet had the flashes of him destroying other worlds, we
right.
should have seen him taking out other Avengers.
Yeah, that would be
That would
nice.
have shown, oh yeah, this guy is really no joke. We only see him just taking out random people or whatever. And
Right.
so I would have liked to see more of that. It does make it seem like because it looks like the other Kings didn't like this one. They're like, let's get rid of
Right.
this guy. It looks like he's trying to be more like He Who Remains. He was trying to unify the timeline while they're
Mm-hmm.
like, nah, we're just gonna do whatever we want. And that's why he was like, bro, Jonathan
Banish.
Majors is so good. When he was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna get revenge on those who banished me and I'm gonna burn them from time. I was like, this man can act, boy.
Yeah. He does angry good.
But yeah, it would have been nice to see him, or at least see him interact with the other Kings like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how when the movie opened, it starts with the Marvel logo and then shows like him and when he first meets Janet in the
Mm-hmm.
quantum realm. I feel like that should have been before the titles. How they usually have those opening things.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that was a little weird. I was like, why would you just start with just put that before, do the thing, and then jump into Scott? That would have been good. So after this movie, we got Thor: Love and Thunder, which is the fourth Thor film. We're getting Captain America: New World Order, a fourth Captain America movie, although it's a different Captain America.
Is it gonna be? It's gonna be Anthony Mackie, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, do you want to see a fourth Ant-Man movie?
I do.
What would you like to see happen? And give us a title if you can.
Oh Jesus, that's a hard question because I'm just trying to think of like where they're going to be going with some of the other ones, you know, and how it could fit into this overarching storyline. It would have to be, if there's gonna be a fourth Ant-Man movie, I think it would have to be in the next major phase of Marvel movies after Kang, though. So it would have to be like after all that. So has there been any discussion on who the next big bad will be
after Kang?
Galactus?
I assume it's going to be Doctor Doom or Galactus. We don't know when we're getting either of those characters. The next three major villains, you got Doctor Doom, you got Galactus, and you got Apocalypse. Those are pretty much everybody knows who these guys are.
Right.
So we don't know if this is all going to be Kang. I assume Doom has to be next. Doom will probably appear toward the end of this phase, and then I feel like Doom has to be the big bad going into phases 8, 9, and 10 or whatever. So.
Well, if it's Doom, if there is then my only guess is like, I don't know. He gets like I hired him and the Pym / Lang / Van Dyne family gets hired to, I don't know, sneak into Latveria. They have to steal something, something. And then, then obviously they discover it's much bigger than what they thought it was, you know? What they're originally supposed to be doing, they realize that this is just like a drop compared to what the real problem is. And so that introduces Dr. Doom as like, you know, the next major threat.
I really like that. I like that. The family is hired to steal something from Latveria, and then they realize, yeah, this is not as I like that. That's like pretty much extrapolating what the first film was. I need you to steal something from the Avengers compound. And you run the Falcon. So you get there. That should be, if I could think of a title, just pretty much you got to take it back, just do Ant-Man, the Wasp, and Stinger, which if they go with that name for Cassie, she has like it's either Stinger or Stature or like Ant Girl, but something like that. Just make it like, I don't know, Ant-Man and Family, Ant-Man and Co. Something like that.
Yeah, that'd be good. What's the name of their was it X-Cons?
X-Con is the name of
the company, right? I was trying to think they work that into it.
Yeah, and they got to come back. They need to bring all three of them back. They, I feel like, are the glue that really made the first two films work in a way, and especially with Michael Pena doing his recaps.
I think so. Yeah,
those are hilarious.
Those are really good. Yeah.
So do you have any theories for the future of the MCU as a whole after this movie? We got the tease with Loki.
Right.
What do you think? How this is going to go down?
Post Kang or like with Kang, like this whole
how this
arc is going to go. Yeah. I assume, I don't think, well, obviously, I think what's going to end up happening is like you'll see like a shattering of the multiverse or something like that. And like they'll get they'll start overlapping. Overlap of almost kind of like what happened with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Where like people from different multiverses will start ending up in other ones as a result of like Kang trying to what I see is like all the Kangs from their various universes or dimensions or timelines, I guess, they try to find a way to compound them so that way like they're ruling over like one massive stream of time, basically. And so that ends up kind of fusing all these different timelines. And so you have, I think that'd be a way for them to bring in the X-Men, to bring in Deadpool. And if they wanted to, bring back Robert Downey Jr. They even bring back, I doubt Chris Evans will come back, but they could possibly bring him back. Who knows? And then like it's gonna be them trying to have to like I don't know, find the right versions of themselves, I guess,
to take them down. Like the Ultimate Avengers team across timelines.
Yeah.
That'd be
I'm trying to think of how what's the worst thing that could happen, you know? And then they have to try and fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like the theory. I like to think that the Kang and Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania, when he gets kicked into the quantum engine, part of it was like he wanted that to happen on purpose. Because apparently the Beyonder is going to be in Avengers Secret Wars at the end. And apparently he's going to be a Kang variant now. They're changing it from the comics. They're going to make the Beyonder a Kang variant. So I would like it if that version of Kang from this movie is the one who becomes the Beyonder. Like somehow him going to that multiversal engine allowed for him to evolve or whatever. And then he's like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm the strongest Kang. I'm gonna make a new timeline. Whichever you like, this is how they're all gonna fight. He's pretty much gonna tell, like, you got your Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, your Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and your Hugh Jackman X-Men. He's gonna tell all of the timelines. All right, y'all are gonna have to fight it out, and whoever's alive at the end, that's the timeline I'm using. So I think it's going to start with them actually fighting amongst each other before they decide to team up and take down the Beyonder Kang to create the new timeline. So I think that's, and then phases 8, 9, and 10 or whatever are going to be the new timeline, which is how you're going to have mutants all of a sudden, because it doesn't make sense to toss mutants in there now. It has to be a brand new,
right.
You have to have like a new timeline with new backstories and stuff.
Sorry. What was the name? I can't remember. What was the name of that comic arc where the Skrulls had been impersonating various heroes and people for like decades?
That's Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. That's right. I got that mixed up. That was the first time Thunderbolts popped in, was during Secret Invasion.
Yeah,
because that was Norman Osborn's, like, because he made Hammer. That's right.
That's coming out this May, I think.
So they are making a Secret Invasion.
Yeah, they're doing Secret Invasion, and Secret Invasion leads right into Armor Wars, which is they changed it from a show to a movie.
Right, because I mean that was when all the Iron Man suits got created, right?
Yeah. So, and we'll see how they change it up for the whatever. We know Riri Williams is supposed to be in that, but yeah, they are doing a Secret Invasion. One thing we forgot. So, what were your thoughts on M.O.D.O.K? Darren Cross coming back, and now he's M.O.D.O.K.
I thought that was nice, making him M.O.D.O.K. I thought that was interesting, and it kind of made sense. I remember how he died, the way his body got, his arms and legs got sucked in, so it made sense. I can understand kind of why he was kind of insane. I only assume that his time in the quantum realm has not been super enjoyable. Outside the pain from like getting your body compressed like that. Kang does not seem to be a big fan of his either when he slammed against the wall.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why he even saved him.
Yeah, right, honestly. And so I thought that was a nice way to bring him back. But that's one of the things, like, it just seemed like that's where we're crossing the line from comedic to silly. Like, especially that part when he was dying. Like, at least I'll die an Avenger. I'm like,
Well, I thought that line was funny, but then it made, for the MCU, it made sense for him to be M.O.D.O.K, especially like you said, the way he got compressed and shrunk to the quantum realm. I thought his personality was drastically different than in the first Ant-Man movie. He was like he wasn't as silly, and he didn't like, he makes all those jokes about Scott. Our lives have always been intertwined. He's making all these jokes towards Scott that don't really line up with who he was before.
Right.
Like he thought Scott was like a nobody before.
Yeah.
And I would have liked if he kind of kept that. And he could have been like, because M.O.D.O.K just an inherently silly character. Just look at him. And like a little bit of that could have been explained to the fact that, you know, when you broke me and whatever, my brain doesn't work the same, but now I want revenge. So I think they should have kept him, like him turning at the end, that's fine, but they should have made him more menacing throughout.
I can see that.
He shouldn't have been like Kang's like in the way that how Kang treated him poorly. Should have been like, this is why Kang has him around.
Yeah, he's like he's like, I don't know, like not a lackey, but just they're associates right now, right? Or something like that. Like Kang needs M.O.D.O.K, and so that's why he just can't vaporize him, because M.O.D.O.K has a use and is helpful because he has an understanding of quantum particles, you know, quantum energy, and so he can help him get out.
Which at the same time, he should have had some of that in his suit when he shrank. So I don't know why they didn't salvage his shrinking stuff to reverse it and grow out. But who knows?
He was too damaged. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. But that will do it for us. I'd like to thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Let's Talk Spoilers. You can watch this video and read the full review over on the website, flipfrogllc.com/flixfrog. Daniel, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram as Kid Chocolate, always. And yeah, that's pretty much it, kid. Just on IG. I just end up on the IG rabbit hole.
You need to jump back on Twitter. You used to be on there. I don't know why you left.
I have a Twitter, but the problem with Twitter, man, you know, if you miss the first joke, you just get retweets and people making memes. You spend the next 24 hours scrolling trying to find the original post. But I do have a Twitter, but I'm just never on it. But yeah, thanks for having me, man.
And remember, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit. And please, pretty please, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to everything Flipfrog, Flixfrog, Flipfrog Books. Hit that subscribe button and follow us. The next Let's Talk Spoilers is probably going to be Shazam! Fear of the Gods. Look at the schedule. That's the only thing interesting I see coming out that really fits with this. So until next time, I'll be seeing you.